Well, it's time to show you how to use the redstone in Minecraft. First thing you do is you get up out of bed and get outside. Now, whoa, children are running about. Get off my lawn. Yeah, that's what I thought. You too. So anyway, you go to the redstone testing area here thing I made for just you peoples. And first thing you need to do is get yourself some redstone. So you take an iron pickaxe, or better, and you break it. And then you collect it, and then you're good to go. So the next thing you do is you take the redstone, and then you put a stick under it to make a redstone torch. And then you do the same thing with redstone torch, and then three things of stone to make a redstone repeater. All on that here bench. Now, the redstone is like the lifeblood of Minecraft, but it needs to be powered in order to do anything. In which case, you use redstone torch to give it a constant power supply. Now, repeaters can also continue this power supply, as well as cause lag to it, in some cases good lag. And all you have to do to increase that lag is by right-clicking on it. We'll get into that in a little bit when we get over there. Now, there are other ways to create power into redstone, like pushing a button, or throwing a switch on or off, or stepping on a pressure plate of stone or wood. Now, the neat thing about the wood pressure plates is that anything will trigger them. People, enemies, items. But with the smooth stone pressure plate, items will not trigger it. Living creatures need to activate it, such as golems, spiders, creepers, and villagers and other players. Now, when working with redstone, you must make sure to keep the tools of the redstone safe, otherwise they will die because of the lava or the water. Now, you also have to remember you can't put redstone on certain blocks. It won't work on a half-stone block, but double blocks are okay. Also, this includes the redstone torches, repeaters, stone, as well as the buttons, the pressure plates, and levers. However, fences are the only exception with the pressure plates, so that you can make tables. And they still give power. They're just not really recommended that well. But they won't go on top of webs or lily pads or glass or leaves or pistons or ice or TNT or dispensers or prickly cactuses or popsicles of green things. They won't work on furnaces, glass plates, iron plates, wooden chests, note blocks. It won't work on staircases of any sort. And the enchanting table or the ding here, the workbench. Usually if you have to right-click it, you won't be able to use it. So anyway, when you do get your power supply and redstone, it only travels up to 15 blocks, in which case you need to have the power reset. This is where the repeaters come in. Back in the day, you'd have to use this thing called a repeater. Now, as you can see, it's a little big and requires redstone and whatnot. And after a certain update, they added in the compact version of the redstone repeater. It makes these things rather useless, but the idea and concept of how this works is still utilized in other devices. Now, as you can see, the redstone wire here is dead, that's why it's not glowing. But these two are, and when they hit the redstone lamps, it powers them on. This one won't because it's off. There's no power. And if you look on the other side, the stone is still flowing with power. This is because when a redstone is hitting a certain block, it powers that block and can continue onward if you use redstone repeater. We're using the redstone lamps as an example so you can actually see the power in there, but it would work on any other block that can contain the power, like iron, stone, wood, whatever, so long as they're not those things over there, because they don't work too well. Also, as you can see, the redstone power supply can go through other blocks, but will not continue through a piston. But it will continue through the note blocks, so if you're musically inclined, there you go. But it will not go through 2 blocks, only one. So if these were both the glowstone blocks, they would both be on, but as you can see, the third block will never be on. Also, with redstone repeaters in mind, power only flows one way. As you can see, the power can go through these blocks, but not on the sides. Also, because this one's facing the wrong way, they're not gonna get power anywhere. Now, with the redstone torches, they will power the block that the head or tip is touching. As you can see, because the glowstone block is having the stick, not the head's touch, it's not working. If there was one underneath, it would. Now, redstone torches themselves act as a on-off switch of their own type. Basically, what this means is we have this redstone torch powering on this redstone, flowing into this block, which powers this block on. Now, because of this, the redstone torches are off, but the block is on. Now remember, it does the opposite of what the block is. So because this torch is off, it's not powering this block. And because this block is off, the torch on top of it is on. And because of that, the block above it will be on. If there's a torch on that, it would be off. And it would continue to do this back and forth pattern for an infinite amount of times. Now, it won't work on things going directly down unless it's angled appropriately, such as this case. And it would also work on that. And the only reason this turned back on is because redstone's powering this block, as well as the blocks adjacent to it. And then it rains. One moment while I cheat. There we go. There you go, away rain. There we go. Now, using this knowledge, especially this knowledge here, we can cause what's called an inverter. Pistons are naturally retracted. When power is flowing into them, like in this case, it's extracted, which means it's open. This is what you can use to create secret doors and the like. So the redstone is powering this wire, and it goes into there, and it keeps this piston extracted. But if we hit the button, it's going to turn this glowstone on, which turns this block on, which turns this redstone off, which turns off the redstone, and turns off the piston, as you can see here. And since it's a button, it only happens for a short while. Now, there's also these things called clocks. Basically, you need to put down a circular thing of redstone and redstone repeaters, and very quickly put down a redstone torch adjacent to it, and then remove it immediately so that you get only a single pulse of power. This is only useful for things that you want to work non-stop or continuously in a pulse-like manner, which I'll show you in a moment. However, I personally don't agree with this version because it's very difficult to turn on or off and still keep the pulse going when you want it on without ruining it. That is why I prefer the piston clock. It requires a bit more resources, but it's much more efficient. Basically, you turn this on, the power goes into the redstone, which powers on the block, and using a redstone repeater continues that power source back around to the piston. Now, when the piston's on, it expands. So this glowstone thingy here is going to move away over to here. Now, when it does that, the power is no longer going through the block. It's broken. It's not going to get any power, which means this is off. And when this is off, the piston will retract, like it is now. And when it does that, the power will be flowing again, which causes a never-ending loop. And you can also change how much of a how fast you want it to go by right-clicking and creating the lag that I discussed earlier. Each time you right-click, it creates what's called a tick. A redstone repeater causes one tick, and by adding on more space between these things, you add on another tick. It's only a fraction of a second each time, but after a while it can add up. And we'll just fix that. As you can see, sometimes it's a little too fast, in which case you may need to put down some kind of lag. Now, pistons will break redstone if they move into it, so make sure you keep the pistons, whenever they're pushing, away from redstone wires. Otherwise, it'll break and you'll just ruin everything. It will push and retract the railings and stuff though, so that's okay. Now, as I discussed before, it can hold lag, which causes certain things to be timed. Now, using this lagged method, and this repeating method, we go over here, and as you can see, that's where I got my repeater going. We flip the switch, and we have a continuous, never-ending flow of power until I say no more. Now, when we go over here, we can see just where wire can go. It could go vertically, horizontally, up and down, but it will not go along the side. What was it? What was it? I'm scared. I think I'll hide over here. So anyway, the power goes up around the blocks, much like a staircase, and can go up, down, around, but it will not go, what do they call that, vertically. It won't go onto this block here and then onto this block. It's got to be in a stair-like manner. With this in mind, you also have to be sure not to pinch the wire. Here you see the red stones going up the staircase-like thing, and having that stone on. Now, if you were to put a block in the way, it will pinch. So we have the redstone power going up and stops, because this block is pinching it. If I were to remove this block, the power's back on. So just be careful as to where you place the redstone and blocks. This is especially important when you're trying to cover up redstone to make things look pretty. Because when you do that, you might end up breaking the hard work that you put in, if you put any kind of hard work in it at all. Because, well, let's be honest, you young people don't know how to work. I do believe that's about it. Now, since it's nice and cold out, I'm gonna try to get me some shelter in this cold, dark world. I wonder if someone will let me rent out some space. No one in here. I'm so lonely. Is this the outhouse? No. Where is it? Oh, people. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, it's the iron golem. I made fun of his wife last night. Hope he didn't see me. Excuse me, good... Excuse me? Excuse me, good sir. Do you have room and board for the night? I wouldn't mind having a nice sleep here. In fact, I'll buy your home from you. Gold coin each. Now get out of my home. Get out! Get out! Oh, he saw me. Oh, no. I need to escape. I'm too big for the window. I knew I should have lost weight. My gold coin. Is it safe? Well, anyway, if you would like to see more examples of redstone and how things can work, just let me know and I might eventually do it. Bye.